everyone. My name is Marisa Stone with Simon Says Social and the Systems Lounge, and I want to welcome you today to the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit, where you learn all about the systems our speakers are using to get things done. And today I am super excited to have Michelle Lewis here. She is going to talk with us all about the logistics of live streaming. Now, don't get scared. We are going to get you set up so you don't have to worry about this, and it becomes an easy way for you to integrate this into your own system. So let me tell you a little bit about Michelle. So Michelle is the founder of Visibility Vixen, and it goes without saying that she's also a visibility expert, right? But she's also a thought leader who specializes in helping entrepreneurs who are launching their businesses grow their following through branding, video, and live streaming techniques, helping them to really skyrocket their visibility, monetize their success, and finally start changing the world with the unique gifts that they have to offer. With a history in television, she grew up on movie sets, guys, check this out, and she's worked on shows like Paycheck, Pretty Little Liars, and Chuck, so I'd say she knows a thing or two about being visible, right? Through her online courses, the Visible Entrepreneur Facebook group, if you're not in there, definitely check that out, and the Visibility Vixen podcast, she provides that safe space of creative inspiration to help you learn the ropes of being visible too, so that you can make an even bigger impact on your audience. Michelle currently lives in the old Hollywood town of Toluca Lake. Is that how you pronounce that?
Yep.
I've not been there yet.
Amazing.
Where you can find her working away on her business at the local coffee shop or enjoying nature, hiking in the nearby hills. Now, they call those foothills, right?
They do.
They do. Michelle, welcome to the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled to be here. And that was quite the introduction. Thank you. I just feel all warm and fuzzy.
Well, it is such an honor to have you here to talk with us today, because not very many people are experts in this area yet. It's still relatively new, right? Mm-hmm. And people are still really learning what to do with regard to live streaming and really putting themselves out there. So let's just begin at the beginning. What in the world is live streaming?
What is it? So live streaming is very basic. I'm sure most of you are familiar, but if you're not, it is where you are looking in a camera and on whatever social platform you're on, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, Periscope, or Facebook, your audience member is able to view what you're saying live. That's pretty much it.
So it's really putting yourself out there and talking to your audience, not necessarily in a text, document or a PDF or a video, but it's really, you and I are having a conversation on camera right now in real time.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So there's no cutting, there's no pausing, there's none of that. You have to be right there, mistakes and all, for everybody to see. Right. Not to scare you, but it is true.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about some of that as we move through. So why should live streaming be something that entrepreneurs consider adding to their marketing strategy?
Oh my goodness, like live streaming is such a vital, it's become such a vital part of my business, because when I first got started, live streaming wasn't happening yet. So it was all about video. And so I would tell people, you have to get on video, because 1 minute of video is equivalent to 2.8 million written words. So,
wow. Can you say that again?
1 minute of video is equivalent to 2.8 million words.
Wow.
So you can imagine, like, when everything first started in the internet, it was all about the blogging and the writing and all of that. And a lot of us tend to focus on that. But now the medium has become so visual. People want to see you. So we got into video, which was great, but you could edit that and chop it to be how you wanted. So when live streaming started happening, it was such an incredible phenomenon, especially for online teachers, experts, and coaches, to be able to connect one-on-one with their clients, so they could see, like, okay, like, here's this beautiful ad that you have that I saw on Facebook, but what are you really like? Do I really resonate with your personality? And oh my gosh, you're talking about this like live challenge that you're doing next week. I really want to be in that. So the reason why it's so important for your business is because people are, I'm trying to think of a nicer way to say it. They want to know who they're purchasing from, who they're investing in. They're not as impressed by a fancy ad anymore. They want to know the human behind the ad.
Right.
So it's so vital as an online marketer that you use every tool at your disposal. Even if you're like, oh, everyone's live streaming, I don't want to be live streaming. You don't really have that luxury if you're down in the trenches, really building your own visibility through marketing.
Right. And I kind of want to address that for just a minute. Yeah, everybody else is doing it too, but you're speaking to your audience. So keep that in mind when you go through this process and you're thinking about whether or not live streaming is something you want to use inside your business and as a system that you can use to connect with your audience. You're talking to your audience. They're talking to their audiences, but you're talking to your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that sets you apart in that space because you are speaking directly to them. So
absolutely.
Let's talk for a minute about the logistics of live streaming. What do you mean by the logistics of live streaming? Is it not just let me turn my camera on and start talking?
When live streaming first came out, yes, people were enraptured with you, like having your live walking to the grocery store because they'd never seen it before. But now we've had live streaming for about 2 years. And so people want more of that meat. So what I like to teach in terms of those logistics is going in with an action plan, having the right tech to set it up, and having a mission so that you can clearly get through your message and then have your call to action at the end to take your audience on a further journey. So that's kind of what I mean by logistics.
Okay. Well, that totally makes sense. So let's dive a little bit more into this idea of how live streaming can help me get more business. Is that like a real thing? Can live streaming actually help me get more clients?
Absolutely. So a great example of this is a couple months ago, I decided I wanted to start like a mastermind group, and it was going to be a recurring like passive income thing for me. And I had just finished my Comfy on Camera challenge that I do inside of my Facebook group every couple of months. So I was able to take from that live streaming challenge all of those girls who had participated, who were interested in having a deeper experience with me, and there were like 13 of them that joined that mastermind right away.
Wow.
So what live streaming provides is an opportunity for you to warm up your audience in a way that's different from doing like an opt-in to a tripwire that's pre-recorded, which is still great, but you need to have different strategies. So when you're able to connect live streaming, be it on your personal profile, your business page, or your Facebook group, you're able to, in a way, present an offer that's unique to them that makes them immediately want to purchase because they've been in this journey with you, either through that live or for a couple of days through a challenge.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Wow. I hadn't even thought about being able to utilize that in that space that way. So that's a really cool tip. Thank you.
It's really powerful.
I'm not a TV star. I'm not a professional actress. I haven't had any sort of acting training. I didn't even take drama when I was in high school or college. Can I still be successful at live streaming?
Yes. So I totally understand this fear, and it sounds like I had this very glamorous Hollywood background, but I actually spent about 10 years as a stand-in, which means that you replace your actress when they're on camera so that lighting and sound can do all that stuff around them, so that you're taking their place so they can go and relax and get makeup touch-ups and stuff. So I spent a lot of time being really nervous to be in front of the camera and not really being visible because the camera wasn't actually rolling. So I totally relate to this fear, and a lot of people think that they need to have that type A, very like vivacious personality to live stream. But the thing is, your tribe is unique to you, and the clients that you're going to be attracting are going to like your personality. So it's totally fine if you don't start a live with, oh, hey, everyone. Totally fine if you're like, at your office and you're in PJs and you're maybe more of a type B personality, just being like, hey guys, I just really wanted to share this tip that really helped me make my day-to-day planning easier,
Right.
You don't have to have that star quality. And I actually think that a lot of people that are a little bit overly dramatic on live can turn a lot of people off. Mm-hmm. You really don't want to put on a false face when you go live.
Right.
You don't want to have this whole like, hello everyone and welcome to this live stream. Like, no one wants to see that, right? Those days are gone. So you need to be you, and you need to not, you're going to be nervous to make mistakes, but know that it definitely will happen, and that's okay. And it actually builds that know, like, and trust factor more, because you're not coming across as perfect on screen.
Yes, yes. And I'm so glad you said that, because the next question that I was going to ask you was about the person who is really camera shy. Like, what are some tips and tricks that person can use to be okay with being authentic online and be okay with showing up as themselves? Because, you and I were talking before we jumped on here, and this is really more about a conversation between you and your best friend than it is, oh my gosh, I'm getting on camera.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yes.
What are some of the things that you would say to that person who's like, oh my gosh, I'm really too camera shy to do this?
Well, usually that comes from one of two places. One is they've never really been on camera, so it makes them nervous and they have no idea what to do, or they have a couple more deeper woundings that happened when they were growing up that made them not feel beautiful enough or worthy enough to have that kind of attention on them. Okay. So it's usually in one of those two categories. And so I would say to really figure out where that comes from, and then to be able to get to the root of why are you feeling those nerves, and then just start being around a camera a little more often. So whether that's having a camera on your phone that's turned on and you're able to, practice or whatever, just get a little bit more comfortable with it being around you in your day-to-day life. Mm-hmm. A lot of people think that for live streaming, they have to, okay, I need to have my set perfect and I have to have it all set up and I need to know exactly what I'm going to say. And that's just not the situation with live streaming. So get it more into your day-to-day life, whether it's you taking a selfie or doing a little practice live, until you get to the point where you're not literally, and I've had students who have had this happen, breaking out in hives when they see a camera.
Right.
And understand that instead of having that nerves of who am I talking to and who am I to be an expert talking about this, more often than not, your client that you're looking to help is where you used to be in the past. So you're really talking to that old you. And it's so, in a way, it's like, okay, even though I'm uncomfortable, I know what it's like to be in that painful situation, whatever that may be. And so I'm willing to expose myself a little bit to relate to that person, that old self, right where they're at.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel like one of the things that a lot of people talk about when you're talking about getting on camera is that the camera really drains you? Like it, everybody used to joke about, oh, well, it's going to add 5 or 10 pounds. Well, it also exhausts people, which is why you can only do it for so long. And then you're like, okay, I'm wiped out now. I need to stop. How can you really kind of bring the energy that you're trying to get across in the conversation that you're having with your audience if the camera is already draining you before you even, step into the space or the limelight?
It does take practice. Just like anything, it's like being on a film set. You're working 12 to 14 hours a day. When you first start that, you're like, how am I going to get through the day? And you start to acclimate, right? So you do need to get used to start slow if it's going to be live streaming once a week, once every 2 weeks, and then upping that. I tend to not go live more than like twice a week just with my schedule right now, and that's totally fine for my audience. But I think a lot of that exhaustion comes from not having a specific game plan for your live stream. And so that's where a lot of rambling goes on, a lot of trying to access those brain waves of going, okay, what should I talk about now? And so that's where a lot of exhaustion can come in, because we're having to reinvent the wheel as we go.
Right.
And that's more of an improv situation. So I think if you can have that, I recommend people having an outline of it, the key points of what they're talking about, and then being able to end it clearly so that you can get into that habit and know exactly what you're talking about and get through it more quickly. You're not going to have a lot of retention over 10 to 15 minutes anymore. So, you shouldn't be going live for huge amounts of time to exhaust yourself.
Right. Absolutely. So you mentioned an outline. A lot of my clients are concerned about, stopping and looking at their outline for a minute before they continue. Can you talk a little bit about that and whether or not that matters and how we should kind of manage that. So we still are maintaining a connection with our audience, but we're also making sure we're hitting on all of the points from our outline that we wanted to make sure we got to.
Sure. So it's really easy, and it's an old Hollywood trick. Sometimes you have actors that can't remember their lines, or actors that are supposed to be looking at someone, but you need the camera right here, so you have to kind of put up a little piece of paper so they know where their eyeline's supposed to be. Okay. So right now I'm filming with the Logitech C930, so I can go right about here until you start to see my hand.
Right.
So I can literally have a little Post-it with an outline right here, and you can see that I'm looking off just a little bit, but it's not this, right?
Right.
So you can do little tips and tricks like that so that you have something to reference. And I have no problem if someone's like, okay, now we're going to be talking about blah, 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 blah. That's totally fine. So don't feel like you have to have it all memorized, because trust me, it's not going to happen.
Yeah. I know. I try really, really hard to make sure I memorize everybody's bios. Yeah, it doesn't.
No, and it's fine.
Look, you know?
Yeah, and it's fine. No one really cares, and if they do, like, whatever. You know?
Right. Yeah. And now you can actually live stream from your computer if you use your Chrome browser. So you could actually have a window set up very close to where your camera is that has the script on there that you want to talk about. So you're not really. Yeah,
I'm so old school. I'm like writing it on Post-its. Like
I try to be as paperless as possible. You know,
after good for you.
Programs, you're like, no more paper. You know?
Yeah, totally.
So, okay, so let's dive a little bit into the process. And I know this is the part that's going to scare people, right? You know, What is the process of going live?
The process of going live is so simple nowadays. It used to be more complicated when it first came out, but it depends on what platform you're using.
Right.
If we're going to keep it really simple, let's just say you're using your phone. All you have to do is open up whatever app you're going to live stream from. So you can do YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook are the main ones. So let's say you're going to do Facebook. All you do is open up your Facebook, and then you, instead of writing a description of like, hey, I'm so happy today, you hit that little red button that says go live. You put in your text that you want to put, and you hit that go live button. And that's literally it. And it's very similar if you're doing it from your computer as well. But it literally is so easy. Like, I can show you guys right now on my phone if you'd like to. You literally just open it up, and you put in what's on your mind. So I'm gonna click on that. Don't you hate that feed just refreshes right away? And you're like, stop it, no.
Like, that's not where I wanted to go.
So you're gonna hit
nice.
Go live, and you're gonna see a screen like this. You're gonna put in your description. So I'm gonna put in a couple dots there, and just ignore that, okay? And then you click go live, and there we go. It says starting my video.
Wow, it's as easy as that. And I think the Zoom doesn't like that, because it's now taking you away from the conversation we're having. It's too much for that internet connection.
It was literally like, that is it.
If you're going to go live, we're going to freeze you on Zoom. It's all good.
Isn't that the way it is?
That's the way it is.
So yeah, it's super, super easy, not as scary as it used to be. You can get a little more complicated with other softwares that'll put like a little bar of text under, but for these purposes, starting nice and easy, very simple.
Very nice, very nice. So I've read somewhere that you should use a hook to get people onto your live streams. What does that mean?
A hook, that's the juiciness. So let's say we're talking for kicks. Let's say that you were going to be advertising this summit and doing like a Facebook live tour, a Facebook group. And instead of being like, hey, this is who I am, and here's the system summit for your viewing pleasure. Instead, if you were able to say like, hey, everybody, I really wanted to talk to you today because I used to spend 10 hours a day going from this to this to this, trying to figure out how to get everything to work. And by the time I figured it out, I was too exhausted to do anything creative in my business.
Right.
That is so much more like, oh, I relate to that. I just spent right? Than just saying, hello, welcome to this. So I think that just looking at what are you going to talk about, and then how can you hit on either a pain or pleasure point.
Yeah.
is so, so key. And it doesn't have to be something big like a summit. It could be, if I wanted to talk a little bit more about balance, I would say, hey everyone, right now I am sitting in front of a gorgeous lake house in Idaho, chilling with my parents and actually having to unplug from my business. And it couldn't feel more uncomfortable because I spend so much time creating, and I've been forced to unplug. So these are the lessons that I'm going to walk you through. So just, you have to get used to that. And a lot of people tell me, Michelle, you just came up with that on the fly. I could never do that. It's like, it's a skill.
Yeah.
Anything else. Live streaming is a skill. Having that kind of organization is a skill. It's not something that's just natural. It'll come as you practice.
Yeah. And one of the things that I tell my clients is, in the beginning, come up with a list of 10 questions that the majority of your clients are asking, because I guarantee you, these new people that are coming through and checking you out are also going to have those same questions. So those questions can become your hooks.
Yes, absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah. So anyway, okay. So I know that we are coming to the end of this interview, and I hate that because I'm really, really enjoying this conversation. But I have two more quick questions before we sign off.
Okay.
Our goal is to be authentic, and we talked a little bit about that earlier. Can you dive a little bit deeper into what authenticity on camera looks and feels like, and why this is important for us to strive to be authentic?
Yeah. By the way, can you hear the Canadian geese in the background? Well, authenticity is something that I think is so misconstrued in our industry. It's all about, being authentic and all of this, and it can feel a little bit confusing. I think the times where I feel or I come across most authentically on camera is when before I go live, I literally close my eyes and I center into what I'm talking about and who I'm talking to. And so I remember, okay, if I'm talking about how to stand in, because I used to in my teenage years have really bad cystic acne, I think about, okay, what did that feel like? How was that a painful thing for me? And what do I wish people would have said to me? So when I go live, I'm immediately in that energy state of talking to that old me.
Right.
And I think when you come from that place of wanting to give service, the biggest mistake that I know I've made in the past is when you go live, you're like, okay, I want 26 opt-ins from this live. Where are they? Oh my gosh, no one's live. Only 2 people are live. Like, I may as well just throw away this live. It doesn't matter.
Right.
You have to understand that your job in being a business owner is to be that forward-moving train. Of course, you plan as best as you are there primarily to serve. If you're not, you're in the wrong business. Entrepreneurship is way too hard generally, so do something else.
Right, exactly.
But if you really have that in mind, that authenticity, I think, really shines through because it's true of you coming from a place of service.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that. I think that really, brings this whole idea home of why you want to be live to begin with, right? Your goal is to share that knowledge and expertise with somebody who needs it right now, not 2 days from now or 10 years from now. They need it right now. So I love that's really coming from that place of service. So I know we're going to take a much, much deeper dive in the next interview, but is there anything else that we need to know right now about live streaming or the logistics of live streaming?
I think get used to the process, start writing out your templates, hone in on who you are helping and why, and just start practicing. If you want to do it, I don't know if you have a group or an invisible entrepreneur. Yeah, come in and practice. Do it in a safe place. It's not going to be perfect the first time. Don't immediately hit delete because your hair was a little askew or you had a breakout. Like, no one cares. Just get comfortable with that experience. And sooner than later, you're going to start seeing that you're able to connect with those ideal clients in a deeper way and get yourself out there in front of them so they're more likely to purchase from you because they're familiar with your beautiful face.
Yes, exactly. Wonderful, wonderful words. So how can people reach out to you, Michelle, if they want to ask you questions because they're utterly confused about this whole live streaming thing, or perhaps take a course or a challenge from you, or maybe even just work with you? How can they reach out to you?
Perfect. I'd love to have you. You can go to visibilityvixen.com. You can go to my Facebook group, The Visible Entrepreneur. And every couple of months, I run that Comfy on Camera Challenge. So you can check the website to see when the next one is. We have a good time.
Awesome. Awesome. Guys, check for those links down below this video. I am going to have Michelle give me all of those so I can make sure it is super easy for you guys to access her. Take advantage of some of these resources that she is providing to you today. Listen to this interview a couple of different times if you need to really get it ingrained in your head and figure out how you can use live streaming as one of the systems inside your business to up level and really reach the audience that you're trying to reach. For those of you that are part of the All Access Pass, stick around because we are going to be diving much, much deeper into the logistics of live streaming with Michelle in just a few moments. For those of you who are not, thank you so much for being part of the 2017 Business Systems Virtual Summit, and we will see you in the next interview. Bye, everyone.
Bye.